What is up, guys? My name is Landon. Today, bringing you guys yet again another video, and here today what we're going to be talking about is analysis desks as far as Call of Duty esports go. Now, first of all, before we even talk about this video, before we even get started, I want you to think of other esports. If you watch other esports, what is one thing that always sticks out to you when you're watching them? I'm just curious. I want you to think in your head, think about it, maybe put it down in the comments if you want to. You don't have to do that. But if you want to, just think about it, just dwell on it. Because whenever I think about watching other esports, not directly Call of Duty, because obviously I watch Call of Duty more, but when I'm thinking about watching other esports, one thing that really gets me excited, like just gets me super excited about watching them, is when it comes down to the analysis desks. Because coming from someone who's not an expert as far as CSGO, as far as Dota, as far as League of Legends, whatever you can really imagine, as far as esports that have these certain things, I am always looking forward to after a match, before a match, kind of like a preview or a recap. I'm always excited whenever I hear, we have the analysis, kind of talking about this matchup, we have the analysis going over what just happened in that matchup, and hearing the words, we're going to send it over to the analysis desk for a preview of this game, or, we're going to send it to the analysis desk to give us what exactly happened in that match. I get really excited for one of two reasons. For the fact that I watch these other esports, like I said, I'm not an expert in them, I don't know exactly what's going on. So kind of learning, getting a little bit of a preview for what we're about to see interested me. Now, I don't know about you guys, but whenever, hearing those words, hearing and saying, this is what's going to happen, this is the players to watch out for, because there's some teams where I have no idea what's going on. Like, I have absolutely no idea what's going on. When I first started watching CSGO in particular, I had no idea what was happening. Like, I didn't understand the whole, money system behind everything. I didn't understand that the sniper rifle was the most preferred weapon in the entire game. I was thinking of Call of Duty, snipers are useful, but I would rather just have a primary weapon. And, I didn't really realize all of that information until I started listening to the analysis desk. That's how you get all your information. That's how you start to learn. And honestly, in my way, one of many reasons how you can kind of fall in love with an esport. And so analysis desks to me are super important as far as Call of Duty goes for this year, for the fact that we have so many more things to talk about as far as analysis goes. I would say in Ghost we could have maybe had a couple here and there, at certain events when they would do bans for maps or something. That's kind of understandable. We can get into the analysis of that, granted. When it came to Advanced Warfare, we didn't really have anything to differentiate. But when it comes to Black Ops 3, we have so many things to talk about. As far as the ban/protect system goes, that could already work on its own. But you also have the specialist draft, which is not better, but it's also, something to talk about. Because in Advanced Warfare, I mean, there would be times where you could say, this is the reason why this team lost, this is the reason why this team won. But it was just, a cluster of gunfights going down that you really couldn't keep up with. How did Scump go 42 and 37? Because he got kills and he died a lot of times. It just did not, there was no real information to say or point out that, this one kill that he got was so important and it just made the whole entire game up. And it's another thing for an analysis person to give information, but it's another thing for the person watching that person who's doing analysis to remember that or to kind of look out for something like that. And when it came to Advanced Warfare, there was nothing really that you could provide that was going to be that interesting. You know what I mean? So now that we have Black Ops 3 here, we're getting ready to start the Call of Duty World League if it's not already started by the time I upload this video. These things are all on the rise, and I really hope that once these events start to happen, whether it's UMG South Carolina, whatever events that we have, I really hope that ESL implements as far as the Call of Duty World League, if there are events for that, or even like Call of Duty Champs. You guys get the point what I'm saying, that we do have analysis desks. Now, we've had analysis desks in the past. I want to mention that. We've had, even at UMG events, MLG events, whatever have you, we've had these analysis desks to kind of go back to and to refer to. But the analysis desks that we've had for Call of Duty aren't exactly the same. First things first is that we always have other commentators who are just off commentating to get into the mode of trying to focus and trying to be level-minded as far as analysis goes. And not all casters are analysts. Not all analysts are casters. That's why you see in other esports, not all of them. You're not going to see Thorin start casting a match. You're not going to see a certain commentator go to the analysis desk because he's there to shoutcast something. You know what I mean? There's differences between the two. And as far as UMG events go, I'm not hating on UMG events. I want to get that out of the way right now. I'm not hating on that by any means. I'm just saying one way that we can improve it. Just want to let you guys know that. So for me, as I've casted 2 UMG events, and I've done analysis and casting both, it was kind of hard for me because I was more of just a shoutcaster. I play-by-play was my kind of like my thing. And as far as Advanced Warfare goes, there wasn't a whole lot of analysis that I really cared to focus on. More things that I would focus on were end-game stuff rather than this player has been with this player. There wasn't really a whole lot of time for that stuff. And so kind of switching back and forth and trying to give analysis on a game that really doesn't need it was very difficult. So I understand in the past why we've had those things. I want to get that out of the way. I understand why we've had the analysis desk and the reason why we've had these certain things in place. But as far as Black Ops 3 goes, now that we have this here, this is a perfect opportunity to have analysts come to these events and only do analysis. Now, I think there's been a couple events where we've had players do analysis, which I think is great. I think Mud Dog showed up for an event and only did analysis, which I thought was fantastic. That's exactly what we want. We want to have people who are there directly for analysis. Now, there's a lot of people in the community. I'm not saying myself in particular. I'm just saying there's a lot of people in the community who do make YouTube videos, who are on Twitter constantly, who know a lot about this game. You know, whether it's previous pros or coaches or whoever it may be. I mean, there's a lot of casters. Mr. X is a perfect example of someone who can be, you know, the difference or kind of be like the divider as far as casting and also analysis goes, because he can kind of do both. I mean, he can sit on a couch, do analysis, and he can also commentate very well. It's not cut out for everyone, I would say. And for me, being at my first couple events, I was kind of lost. I wasn't really sure what I should say about the analysis. It was kind of hard for me personally, switching from play-by-play directly to going over to analysis and trying to focus on a game that didn't really have any analysis. So I know I've kind of repeated myself over and over again, but when it comes to Black Ops 3, whenever we had the Call of Duty World League qualifiers, I thought it worked out very well. You know, I think they only had 4 casters there. Actually, I think Courage showed up, so they had 5. You know, they would kind of switch back and forth. And I understand that wasn't like a major event. It was just a closed location. Only so many people could be there, and so on and so forth. But when it comes to these major events, we need to have people who can provide analysis to, like I said, include. Because when you watch other esports, a main thing that you go to once you go to the analysis desk is to learn a lot more. Because once you're in game, you're not thinking about all that stuff. You're not thinking about all the previous history that this player has had. You're not thinking about the maps, or you're not thinking about the specialist all at one time. I mean, it's very hard to kind of come up with a sentence when you're in game, when there's, you know, a bunch of stuff going around while you're trying to do play-by-play and you're also trying to do analysis. It's just you're not gonna get all the info that needs to be expressed. That's why I think people who do analysis could come on perfectly for this. Now, when it comes to the ban/protection, the specialist draft, I think that's a perfect opportunity, you know, for the analysis desk to kind of dive in with stuff. You know, they can also talk about the maps. They can talk about you know, the players who are coming into this game, you know, the previous matchups between the players, and so on and so forth. They can kind of lead that analysis into the ban/protects. When it comes down to the specialist draft, it's almost like a perfect setup. I mean, you can talk about everything. It shows up there for you. I kind of wish it was a little bit slower. I know that might sound kind of annoying to some people, but, you know, as far as analysis goes, and when you're trying to talk about something, I mean, you're going to see players banning stuff like, I mean, very quickly. So once that gets done, I think they can kind of hand it over to the casters as soon as the game gets started. You know, when it's starting to load up, once we've done the analysis, head it over to them, and then they can start to reiterate what the analysis desk has talked about, and also going to give their own play-by-play. But the main place where you learn something, where you develop all of that knowledge, how you learn all this stuff, is through the analysis desk. And I think there's a lot of capable people who could do that. I'm not saying myself indirectly. I think I could do very well of that job, but there's a lot of people I think out there who would work very well, you know, for that position. So guys, I just want to talk about the analysis desk, the ban/protects, the specialist draft, because of how important it really is. The amount of strategy I could talk. I mean, people could talk for hours about some of the strategies that are coming into a certain game based on the ban/protects, based on the specialist draft. And there's an overwhelming amount of information that it's not going to be boring to watch the analysis desk. I think honestly, instead of just being known as commentators or being known as this, it'd be nice to have a different category of people who are just known for their knowledge, not just based on how well they can talk, if that makes any sense. I think that would add a new kind of division to how esports work, you know, how people are kind of well known in the scene, and I think it would kind of work at every event, to be honest. I mean, and I think as far as desks go, I'm not a big fan of the couches idea. I like, you know, a standing desk, maybe like kind of like a half circle, people just stand around the desk, talk, have a person who could lead that desk, which is someone like William Chobra, who is fantastic. I know he's working with the Call of Duty World League there as well, and he'd be a perfect guy to kind of lead that discussion as he is, and how he does that in other esports. So guys, that's going to do it for this video, kind of talking about all the analysis, the analyst desk that I wanted to kind of bring up as a possible idea. I think it would work very, very well. Really hope that if anyone watches this, that you kind of take that into consideration, and let me know in the comments what you guys think of this idea. I think it could work really, really well, and I also want to hear your guys' opinions on everything that I mentioned. So guys, if you guys did enjoy the video, or if you guys just wanted to hit the like button, feel free to do so, and make sure to subscribe for future videos, as we are now uploading a lot more frequently. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video once again. I will see you all in the next one. Have a fantastic day, and until next time, peace out.